A Day with Caleb. We are back with Copycat Films, this being part 3, the third installment of this series. If you haven't seen the first two, go back and watch them, and then come back and watch this. This one, the first two were kind of like movies that came out the same year, or at least a couple years apart, and they were like facing off like ants in a bug's life. This one is more kind of, they are copycat films, but they didn't come out the same year. So we won't put a year because most of these have distance between them. But the first two was sent in by Movie Man 909. We'll do a screenshot there, and we'll have the copycat films kind of side by side so you can see. So the first suggestion by a viewer, MovieMan909, is Sixth Sense, and the others very similar films. I think I would like, I like Nicole Kidman and the others, but Sixth Sense, I think, for me is better in that sense. And then he sent in Cruel World and Saw. Now, I'm not too familiar with Cruel World, but the first Saw is fantastic, a great psychological thriller mystery. Then the next one suggestion is by viewer Movie World Comics. He suggested Galaxy Quest and the Adventures of Captain Zoom. You can see him there in outer space. So, thanks for the suggestions. If you have a suggestion, comment down below. It might make the next part. Who knows if we'll do a fourth part, but we might. So comment down below. Your comment could be in the next video. Then we have Rear Window and Disturbia. This one very similar, except the only difference is Shia LaBeouf is under house arrest and doesn't have a cast. So, very similar. They both witness a murder with binoculars. They both are felt crazy by family or friends, and they eventually solve the murder. So those are two cool ones. Hitchcock at his best. Jimmy Stewart. Then we have Hidden Fortress and Star Wars. Hidden Fortress, not too familiar with. Obviously, my brother being a Star Wars junkie, I know and am familiar with Star Wars. Then we have Forrest Gump and Curious Case of Benjamin Button. This one is interesting because the same screenwriter, if I was reading correctly, did both screenplays. So that's cool. Then Gremlins and Transformers, very similar movies. Then this one kind of surprised me, but I thought about it, and they are kind of the same movie if you think about it, and that is Iron Man and Doctor Strange. Both men kind of struggle with addiction, and they kind of rise and become the hero, and obviously Iron Man being the father of all these heroes, and the father kind of starting the MCU. Doctor Strange, obviously, with the wreck and the hands, having to create or learn this magic. Then we have Fugitive and Minority Report. Tom Cruise, probably not a well-known Tom Cruise film. I don't see a lot of people talking about Minority Report, but that was Spielberg, right? Am I right about that? And Fugitive, Harrison Ford at his absolute best. Then we have Rio Bravo and Assault on Precinct 13, and you might think that's a little weird, a John Wayne Western and a kind of more of a modern day police movie. But the guy who did Assault on 13, Wes Craven, right? I hope I'm doing these right. Is it Wes Craven? Josh would know. But anyway, he wanted a modern day Western, so he kind of based Assault on Rio Bravo, from what I was reading. Then Prince of Egypt and Thor. You might not put an animated against an MCU film, but the elements of the same film are there. Then obviously Point Break and Fast and the Furious. I think this one is pretty well known to be kind of a rip-off of Point Break. A very good rip-off, but kind of copied a lot of elements of Point Break. Then we have Dances with Wolves, Once Upon a Forest, Fern Gully. They were all kind of copied. Avatar kind of copied all three films. And it's a theme, I guess, that has been copied numerous times since these films came out, but Avatar kind of stole those. I guess life imitates art, so, and Avatar, obviously the highest grossing film of all time. In-game surpassed it for a little bit, and then Avatar did a re-release in theaters and kind of got the title back. So you can't argue with the highest grossing film of all time, even if it did take elements from these other films and put it into the movie. Then this one's interesting. Top Gun and Days of Thunder, both Tom Cruise vehicles, Tom Cruise movies. Obviously now Top Gun has a sequel coming out, or it should. Yeah, I think it should be in theaters now, but it's sad to see that. Days of Thunder, I don't think will ever get a release. Then we have T2 and Looper. This one is an interesting one where it's kind of a sci-fi time travel thing. One has Bruce Willis, one obviously all-time classic with Arnold, Judgment Day. Then we have Roger Rabbit and I, Robot. This one kind of took me by surprise, but I do see the similarities between the two. Then we have A Quiet Place, fantastic film. Just got the sequel, and then Signs, Shamhammer at his absolute best. Back when he brought it as a director, he's getting back now, but it took a while. Then Oblivion and Wall-E. Again, animated film, kind of a sci-fi classic, being butted against each other. That's an interesting one. Kind of dystopian future. The world's kind of destroyed. They're both in that vein. One person there to save the world. Then we have Shape of Water and Splash. Shape of Water, fantastic. Guillermo bringing it kind of a old Universal horror monster kind of feel, at least to me, with the creature from the Black Lagoon, obviously comparing that. You could throw that in here actually, and then splash Tom Hanks. And people, Splash Mountain came out and people thought that was somehow promoting their new film, Splash, but it was not. They just thought of Splash Mountain because of the splash. It wasn't anything to do with Tom Hanks' new movie. Then Toy Story and Secret Life of Pets, both groups kind of on their own, kind of discovering things, and then they both have owners or people in their lives. Andy, obviously, with the toys, and then the girl owning the two dogs who are kind of the main characters. So that was an interesting list there. Some you wouldn't think of as copycat films, but there is similarities. So that was a fun list. Comment your copycat films down below and we might make a fourth video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button. Subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. Share with a copycat film lover. Until next time, guys, keep collecting.